more try hard for them is like too try hard, and everyone casual than them is like bad at the game. Farina is overwhelmingly overpowered. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, try playing a character that uses Bennett and then without using Bennett on them. So you're talking about like Farina, like making your clear times better. There's a characters that are so good that if you don't use them, your DPS feels like dog shit. So that's what I look at. I look at like how oppressive is it. Like if you're not using Kazuha in certain AoE situations, your team actually feels like significantly more worse than it should be. Is there a character where if you don't play Farina with them, they feel like trash? It's like, if anything, his value is going up. They've just made like a bunch of characters in a row that are balanced around Bennett's buff. People say Nuvula is, yeah, but Nuvula isn't bad without Farina. It's really not close for me because Farina doesn't do that. Not playing Farina doesn't make your team trash, and there's no replacement. Whereas there's no replacement for Bennett in like for so many teams. Like for me, that's the sign of how broken a character is. You think the only ones who definitely want Bennett on their teams are Child, Arlecchino, Risey, maybe Wonder. Okay, I don't know about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, here's the thing. Are we doing optimal teams? Are we doing like optimal DPS? Or are we just doing like casual? Because if I do optimal, then Hu Tao goes here. And even a lot of the time, Xiao goes like here. Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me personally, like I don't like doing tier lists, but in terms of like the most broken characters, I don't think of the Hydra characters like that. I think they're just too replaceable. Like for me, it's these 3. Maybe like that. I don't know, whatever. These 3. They're too oppressively strong, or there's no alternatives, like whatever's the case. Maybe the reason I don't value Hydra characters as much is because there's more alternatives. They're all really good. Yeah, they are all really good, but I mean, the only reason we did that tier listing was the point that it's more about the other way around. So there's like characters which can have good teams, sure, but there's no character like Bennett where without them your character feels like trash. The character feels bad without Bennett rather than the character feels good with X character or with Y character.
But yeah, I'm not surprised that Jamie thinks Bennett is the best unit in the game, because Jamie is a lot more focused on like vertical free-to-play / dolphin level investment speedrun stuff, and at that level Bennett kind of is the best unit in the game. So like that's not surprising to me at all.
Hello? Did I just invade your stream?
Yo, what's up? Do you even wash your hands, man? That was quick.
Nah, you know, UK houses are smaller on average, I guess, so they're more efficient.
Yeah.
What did the invaders tell you that I was doing?
They just said Bennett tiers, but I think like I lurked in your stream a little bit when I woke up. I think you were doing a tier list of how well characters work with Bennett, right?
That's a positive way of framing it.
How Bennett reliant they are, I guess. I don't know.
I guess there was been a lot of discussion recently. Like some people are saying like Farina is like the strongest character in the game by far. I guess other people, like maybe yourself, say that xingqiu is like the best character overall. And then, so I was sort of giving my take on it, and then my take on it was that Bennett is like, I don't think either of them compared to Bennett.
Either of them, you mean xingqiu and who?
Or Farina.
Okay.
Or any of the Hydras, to be honest. Because for me, it's the way Bennett is that he is so oppressively strong that if you don't play him with characters that were designed to play with him, they feel bad. So he makes characters feel bad, whereas like someone like with Farina, yeah, sure, she can make some characters and teams feel good, but not playing her and not playing almost any other characters in the game, it doesn't make them feel bad. He's so good at what he does, and he's just completely warped the game. And also, like, whether this is another thing that's important for me is like whether you're like a low budget player, whether you're like a try hard low budget player, whether you're like a dolphin, whether you're like a whale, leviathan, whatever, you're always going to be having Bennett is always one of the strongest options. Similar thing with like Zhongli and Kazuha as well. Whereas like a lot of the other hydros, like depending on what kind of player you are, it's much easier for them to just be options.
Yeah, I mean, I used to think Bennett was the best unit in the game as well, back like basically from 1.0 until like.
Oh yeah, so people came into my chat. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but then people came in and they said, "Oh, you should debate this, like Jamie Bennett versus zajef xingqiu." And I'm thinking, like you guys are you guys don't know the old zajef, like he isn't he the Bennett guy?
Yeah.
Like this xingqiu arc is a new arc. It's not the. I don't think zajef would disagree with these Bennett stuff because zajef is one of the original Bennett glazes, I guess.
Damn, okay, you don't have to put it that way, but okay. But yeah, like I definitely see that, and like I agree with your arguments. I just think that with the way that the game has developed in the past like couple of years, basically since somewhere in like the middle of 2.x until now, enemies have gotten a lot more and more aggressive, and I think that it's made defensive utility a lot more important for more casual players. And I focus my content, like my overall thoughts on the game, on trying to help people that actually need the help, rather than trying to figure out what is actually the best thing in the best situations, right? And with that, with those assumptions, I think that the things that xingqiu provides in terms of both offensive power and defensive utility combined make him just too good compared to the rest of the cast. But I definitely, like, I don't think it's unreasonable to think Bennett's the best unit in the game. I think it really just depends on what group of player you're targeting
exactly.
more. Exactly, yeah.
That's also what I said. So someone also asked, like, how come you and zajef both do calcs but you have different takes? And I actually said that I don't think we actually have that many different takes. I think the most of the time where we would have a different take is just because we play the game differently, or that we create content for different audiences.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
more of the thing. So it's like you're more focused on, like, I guess newer players, or like a wider audience, people who are probably trying to get their first 36 stars, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And not necessarily just like it was their first 36 star for a while, but more and more it's also people that used to be able to 36 star but just can't anymore because it's getting harder and harder.
Anyway, so what I usually say on stream is we have this sort of stun lock that I do quite often, I guess, where someone says that oh this person said that Bennett's getting less relevant, this person said Bennett's getting less relevant, whatever. Yeah, if you look at all the past DPSs for the past year of the game, so if you start at Wanderer and you look at how many of them optimally use Bennett, and because you'd start off with the idea, because it's a reasonable idea, right? Because it feels like Bennett is getting less relevant, and obviously I get enemies are hitting harder, so you end up taking more damage with Bennett. But if you look at the actual characters, right? So Wanderer uses Bennett, Alhaitham doesn't really, but kind of does, but just for the sake of this argument, he doesn't really. He's more of like a xingqiu Yelon user. Dia uses Bennett.
Dia doesn't count. Listen.
Okay. I mean,
be honest.
Her main's used as a DPS. Her main's used as a DPS. Kind of counts.
Listen, I have a triple crown Dea, okay? And I use her as a Forest Regalia instructor bot, okay?
Okay, we can ignore it. I mean, whatever. It doesn't really change the point. Lynette, if you're a real Lynette main and you have a C5 Bennett, she will use Bennett. Linny, obviously, he uses Bennett. No, Nuvilet is designed to not work Bennett. So okay, you can say he doesn't use Bennett, but it's kind of cheesy. Fair enough. So Alhaitham and Nuvilet. Risley basically
I think he's kind of 50-50. He can use him, but he doesn't have to.
In terms of like usage and what people usually use with him, most people do play like some sort of zhongli, Bennett, Xiangling stuff with him, at least for the last like 3 abysses. Like there is like Shenhe teams, but I feel like Shenhe teams are more of like a C6 thing. or at least or like a fun thing.
But what about Bennett?
Oh, we don't talk about that around here, around these parts of town.
All right.
Navia, I know there's a lot of plunge enjoyers, but let's be honest, she uses Bennett. Chevreuse, obviously, she's not really a deepest, but uses Bennett. Garming, Bennett. Shenyun, there are teams that exist without Bennett, but it's fair to say she's a Bennett enjoyer. Chiori, Bennett enjoyer, unless you're C6. Okay, and Arlecchino is Bennett enjoyer. So I mean, the thing is, obviously, some of that is like semantics. We can debate some of those, but it's like almost every character for the party, apart from like Alhaitham and Novelet. But I mean, like I said, if you really want to get nitpicky, there are optimal situations for Alhaitham where he does use Bennett. But for argument's sake, it's like Bennett, and funnily enough, even Zhongli in a lot of situations, even if she's not used for DPS, even if she's just used mostly for like pyro up, it's like these characters are getting even more oppressive than they were before, and it's not really stopping. Whereas like the other Hydra characters like Yelan and xingqiu, like other types of supports, they're not getting new teams at the same rate.
I don't know if I call it oppressive. Like, yes, there are more and more teams that want Bennett, but there are also more teams that don't. And at the end of the day, you don't need to get every character. You just need to get 2 teams. And the more options you have, even if you go from like, if there's 10 characters, 6 that want Bennett, 4 that don't, versus if there's 100 characters, 80 that want Bennett, 20 that don't, there's a larger portion of the cast that's Bennett dependent, but there's 20 options that aren't instead of 4. I get what you're saying, but I don't think oppressive is the right word.
I mean, the thing is, I would say oppressive because I would say, so if you're a player and then you're a Lily main, you're an Arlecchino main, you're a Garmin main, if you like these characters and you wanted to be a main of the characters, you are being oppressed by Bennett because
damn, gamers truly are the most.
Oh no. Okay, but there's not another. Is there another word then I can use? I don't know. Bennett reliant. I don't know. It doesn't get the same point across.
I think it's mostly just Arlecchino and Linny that are like really tied to Bennett in a sense, in a way that could be qualified as oppressive. The other characters, like, they have really good teams with Bennett, and Bennett is generally their strongest team or one of their strongest teams, but it's not their only strong team close to that level.
Yeah, that's fair, because when I was doing that list, I had like the text or whatever. We asked at the beginning, like, do you want to talk about optimal damage chat, or do we want to talk about like, you know, like more casual friendly stuff? Do you want to talk about like literally Bennett slave or whatever? But at the time we agreed like to have some sort of like quote unquote objectivity. Let's just focus on like what is optimal for them. So yeah, there are obviously some characters have other options, but in terms of like optimal damage, then Bennett is for a lot of characters, unfortunately. I mean, then people were also asking me about xingqiu, and I guess I kind of said I think it depends on who you ask, because I think it for some people say like xingqiu has no teams anymore, which I think is copium.
That's not true. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's other. And on the other side is people who say he's the best character in the game, and I guess I also think that's kind of copium. So it kind of depends who you ask, I guess. You get different opinions of xingqiu.
I think, like, let's talk about Arlecchino, for example. I think right now, like in this abyss, if I'm trying to speedrun, I'm always going to use Bennett. But if I'm trying to do a casual clear, I would rather play a xingqiu team without Bennett than a Bennett team without xingqiu.
Say that again?
For this abyss, if I'm trying to do a casual clear, I don't want to have to reset or try hard.
With Arlecchino?
Yeah, with Arlecchino. I would rather play like a double Hydro team with xingqiu without Bennett than a Bennett vape like speedrun team without xingqiu.
But you can do Bennett zhongli.
Even then.
No, okay, no, I can't agree to that personally. I can't. There's no way. There's no. We've done some view abysses playing Arlecchino double Hydro, and it's just it feels just so sad. I've played a ton of like, you can do Bennett vape stuff, you can do Bennett with a shield, you can do Bennett mono pyro, you can do Mel Chevrolet stuff. I need Bennett with Arlecchino. I need it. It doesn't feel, it feels wrong. And like I said, you can use zhongli. I guess most people even use zhongli anyway. Aren't you a Candice enjoyer as well?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna blink hand as if I'm trying to have a comfortable clear. Like, that shit is gonna make me reset 28 times. It's really good that there is a good Candice team now, and I like that, and I think it's Pog, but I do not want to play that for fun, you know? Against aggressive enemies. Like, no. I'm good.
Yeah, but I mean, surely you were exaggerating. I mean, you would really play xingqiu Arlecchino over zhongli for casual clear? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's. I can't. I wouldn't do that myself. A lot of people say that xingqiu has no teams anymore, which I don't think is even close to being true.
Not true.
Like I don't know if you watched my video. I was doing a Farina National.
Yeah, I didn't watch the video, but I saw the thumbnail and like.
Yeah, so I would say, so I mean, I kind of really did kind of argue that a bit. I did say like there's a lot of characters that came up recently which don't really care about xingqiu, but he still has like all the national teams are still very good. There's like Farina National, Kazo National, Raiden, Sucrose, the OG team. I don't know if you know about Al Haytham Nidu teams. I would say in Nidu Bloom, like xingqiu and Kole are like way ahead of the other options. Even Yelan, you can't say that xingqiu is not good in Nidu Bloom.
Yeah, like xingqiu is the best. Like he's the best band-aid for Nilo teams. When you want your Nilo team to actually be able to perform really well in single target, not just in AoE.
Now, I wouldn't say that, because I would say that the Kole teams are still the same, arguably better in single target. But it's like, if you're not playing like the Kokomi Kole team, it's like most of the other good Nilo teams are the xingqiu teams.
How are you building Bennett in that team, by the way?
Oh, right. So that's a whole nother thing, right? So I know theoretically people say Bennett's supposed to be the DPS here, but he's not. He is the healer. I'm sorry. Bennett is the healer in this team. You can use Instructor. You can use, like, if you prefer more healing, you can use Maidens or Song of the Days Past or Ocean Huge Clamor, whatever. But
nah, the only good Bennett build here is Marisol Say. I'm sorry.
No, but you like this better. You don't use Bennett. You use xingqiu, and then you alternate between Farina and Xiangling as well. But there's no. I know theoretically, like in like the sim or whatever, you're supposed to build Bennett for the damage dealer, but at least for like speedrun wise, even if you're not vaping xingqiu's sack sword, it still stonks. But a lot of people actually think that the only reason national teams like Sucrose National or Raiden National are good because xingqiu, because you fish for the quad vapes. But actually, a lot of those teams, it still stonks if he's just doing his hydro damage.
Yeah, like the quad vape is good when you want to like kill a first wave really quickly.
I guess they would use that damage as like a way to write off like the value of like Sacrificial Sword or his role in the team as like, okay, yeah, that's only good because he gets like quad vapes there, but he doesn't need to vape his skill to be very good in that team.
Yeah.
And
like at the end of the day, the damage you're gaining, like the overall DPS you're gaining from vaping your skill isn't that big, because vaping your skill means like 3 Pyronado hits non-vaped.
I feel like I did what you do there. I turned the Xiangling discussion into the xingqiu. Okay.
It's always xingqiu.
I see both sides of xingqiu. I see some people I think are like hyping up too much, but then I think people are downplaying it. I mean, it's gonna sound edgy for the point of being edgy, but I would say for like our community, people are underrating Bennett now, and people are in denial that he is still the GOAT. I think people focus too much on the circle impact thing, which is obviously that's a
Do you mean
nice
in the
quality
sense
of
that
life thing.
like they prop up Farina, Kazuha?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, so that's half of it. And the other half is I do often get people in like chats or in YouTube comments, and then them asking like, "Oh, this creator says that Bennett is losing relevance," or this creator says, "People aren't really using Bennett as much these days as before." So yeah, so that kind of angle, and yeah, that coupled with people like saying, "Oh, like Farina's the goal," or like Yelan is the goal, and obviously this is not for like super casual or like others. This is for people who like watch Twitch and try hard YouTube channels, stuff like that. But yeah, I think maybe even Bennett or Xiangling. I think people are either in denial or they just don't know how
I think,
actually strong your Xiangling teams can be.
There's a comment in my chat that I actually I really like. They said Copelia being in every single abyss probably contributed a lot to the quote-unquote downfall of Bennett. And like, yeah, and I very much agree with it. I think like the biggest downside of Bennett as a character is that self-applying Pyro Aura can be dangerous defensively. And I guess the circle impacts thing, but like the one you're gonna feel the most basically is that one. And recent abysses have had a melt one-shot thing basically every single time, right? Copelia in like 5 abysses in a row. First abyss we don't have Copelia, triple Genki. And like that obviously is gonna make Bennett feel a lot worse for a lot of players.
Do you think people are going a bit too far when they start like...
Honestly, I don't know if there's a single 4-star character that is not underrated.